Was geht, meine lieben Freunde, eure nur die nette Konstruktion einer neuen Folge. Wir haben letztes Mal mit einem ehrenlosen Cliffhanger aufgehört. Wir sind heute in der 99. Folge angelangt. Ja, let's go. Kurz nochmal als kleiner Reminder für euch, Freunde der Freunde der Freunde der Freunde. So, eben. Es war so, der Lord ist nicht der gleiche Lord. Also, Jacopo wurde erst vor 4 Jahren Lord. Und es war ihm anderes. Und dann hat mich gefragt, ist der Slave actually dead? Und deswegen habe ich mir gedacht, ist der Slave vielleicht der Lord? Oder irgend so eine Scheiße. Aber mal schauen.
You'd better have a damn good reason for this.
Oh mein Gott! Jo, wie cool mit Jacopo, wie er da sitzt.
Ja.
Boah, geil, Alter. Mit dem Essen, mit dem goldenen, ne? Guck mal, Bronze, Silber, golden und unser trinken. Ziemlich cool. Okay. Soll ich Jacopo lesen? Oder warte mal, der Lord? Warte, scheiß auf, ich lese ihn mal. I came because you said you had something... I came because you said you had something important to discuss. Now, care to tell me who the hell this white-haired man is and what he's doing here? Achso, wir sind Flash Forward. Nicht Flash Forward, wir sind jetzt so Time Skip. Wir haben nicht gesehen, was danach passiert ist. Is this life actually dead? Okay. Let's go. You neglected to mention we'd be having company. I'm the one who asked him to arrange this meeting with you. And who the hell would you be?
An angel. Or a prophet.
What? Did you both finally snap under the pressure? I leave it for you to decide what you think I am. I will say though that I know everything. I know you've got a girl imprisoned in the observation tower, and I know you're taking her blood and calling it medicine, passing it out at the church. But it's haunting. Which one of you squealed?
No one told him anything. He just knew. He knows everything, including my deepest desires, and what happens in my next life. He's probably peering into your soul this very moment.
You've completely lost it, I see. Well, how you got the information doesn't matter. All I need to know is this. What are you hoping to gain from it? Wealth, my downfall, what? Morgana's freedom. I want you to give me your key, and then I want you to tell me your story. I've come here from the future, from the world after Morgana's death. I saw curses with hatred for the three of you. And she's placed a curse of eternal suffering on your souls. Digga, das ist gerade so cool. Alle Mäste sind hier am einem Ort. Has everyone at this damn table gone mad? Did you seriously think I would believe that nonsense? Don't interrupt me. Geil. My objective is not so much to rescue Morgana's physical body from the tower, but to save her soul from an eternity of loathing. I can't achieve that on my own, however. Because I'm not from this time, I have had no direct interaction with her or anyone else here until just recently. In order to make her have a change of heart, I need to gather the truth from the people who are from this time, ne? In pursuit of the truth. Boah, ich hab's Bock. And I suspect that you hold the last piece of the puzzle. The biggest piece. That you have a far deeper connection with Morgana than anyone else here. Oh mein Gott, er ist der Slave?
I don't know. Sounds like too good.
Warte mal kurz. Ja, ich glaube echt, Jacopo ist der Slave. Wenn ich es richtig gecheckt habe. No, I'm all but certain of it now. Your perspective is crucial to accomplishing my goal. Tell me your whole story, please. Halt mal kurz bitte. How you ended up capturing and imprisoning Morgana. What you thought and felt along the way. The truth will get through to her. I know it. That will be the turning point in all this. Her curse will be no more. And you will all be returned to the paths you were meant to walk. Everyone will have their salvation. Someone throw this madman out.
I won't do it. Neither will I.
That worthless curse. Wachen, wachen! Yo. I call the guards then. And we gesagt have, wachen, wachen. Who do you think I am exactly? Just who the hell do you think I am? Ich bin Simon der Boy, ich bin Himmelsborn. Let's go. I am the lord of this land. Under ordinary circumstances, I'd never so much as deign to speak with you, lowly peasant. Peasant? Peasant?
Peasant.
Now get out of my sight, or I'll take it as an act of aggression and you'll find yourself without a head.
In this room right now, you're not a lord. You're a lone man. Until you hand over your key, we're not letting you leave.
Boah, dieser Soundeffekt gerade richtig nice.
And you find there aren't any guards for you to call.
Oh, the Soundeffekt a lot.
We're all alone on this estate. Your preoccupation with staying out of sight played right into our hands. Accept your defeat, Lord. We've already agreed to set you, the witch free.
Cowardly worms.
Ironic, coming from you.
I didn't think you'd turn coat quite so eagerly. None and your kid sister are in on it too, I take it.
We were only working for you. We never felt any sort of allegiance to you.
Loyalty founded on what one has to gain or lose is far more resilient than uncertain, fluctuating feelings. But it would appear this white-haired man shattered that foundation. How long have you been colluding with them, cur? I arrived in this era 2 days ago. What? 2 days? In just 2 days you got these worms dancing for you? They are not dancing for me. I merely spoke with them and they listened. Ja, also Yukimata hat nicht wirklich zugehört zuerst. Den Arm, Beine gebrochen. Finger gebrochen. You're a disturbed man. You couldn't possibly have won these two over in a mere 2 days.
He's no ordinary man. As we've said, he knew everything. While I was talking to him, it felt like he was looking directly into my soul. He's definitely an unusual one, yeah. It felt like he's known me my whole life, even though he'd just shown up out of nowhere 2 days ago. I didn't believe what he was saying at first, but he knew things he couldn't possibly know. My secret wish, something I've never told anyone before.
I don't know what kind of tricks you're playing, but now I know why I've never seen you around. If you'd been lurking around the city for longer, sticking your nose where it didn't belong, I would have taken notice sooner or later. Ha, I'm impressed. Yeah, we cooked. In only 2 days you managed to convince them both to betray me and set me up. This is a setup. I don't know this girl. I am indeed the one in charge of this operation. So if it's the witch you're after, I'm the obvious target. Yes. And the two dogs there surely have some pent-up rage. So I take it you're going to tie me up, then torture me until I tell you what you want to know?
That's not a bad idea. What do you say? Give me the word and he's in ropes. Wait. We agreed we weren't getting rough.
I have no interest in solving this problem with violence. We are here to uncover the truth. We needn't exchange blows. Only words.
Anyway, If we were going to beat it out of him, we would have done so as soon as he walked through the door. We discussed this beforehand. We're only talking. No one's getting into any fights, physically or verbally.
That's right. Well, it looks like I got no way out, so you've got me. I surrender. Take my key. Go open the tower doors.
Am Ende ist so fake key. What? That was easier than expected.
Your key is not important right now. Your perspective is what I seek. Why did you make it so the lock required 3 keys? One person is more than adequate for the job. So why split it 3 ways? Is it any of your concern, Kerr? Was it because it was too much weight to bear alone? You didn't actually want to imprison Morgana, did you? Something, somewhere, went wrong. You backed yourself into a corner and couldn't escape. I'm done listening to you. Am I right or am I wrong, Lord? Or should I say, Jacopo?
Jacopo? But isn't his name Jean-Francois Barnier?
That's Lord Barnier to you, you insolent child. You seem to be a bit confused. I am son of the House of Barnier, which means I'm royalty. Ach so, ich check's jetzt endlich. Also nochmal.
Ah, das war der alte Lord.
Ja, also, ja so, das kann auch sein vielleicht der Name, aber ich meine, Jacopo ist halt so wie bei Pauline, sein Birth Name. Und er hat halt diesen Namen übernommen, oder keine Ahnung, vielleicht hieß echt der Sohn vom Lord oder so, ne?
Mhm.
Vom Alten. Und deswegen hat er sich so Barnier genannt.
Das kann sein, ja.
Und deswegen heißt er auch unter dort 3 Jacopo und Pauline auf Pauline und nicht Marie.
Ja.
Solche Sachen. I'm son of the House of Barnier, which means I'm royalty. No, you are not. I don't know how you came to start calling yourself Barnier, but there's not a drop of royal blood flowing through your veins. The slave revolt at the Lord's Manor 7 years ago. You were there, weren't you? Er hat's also gestartet, ne?
Hm.
During the revolt, you helped Morgana escape. Yeah, that's right. You saved her life once. That was you. You were the slave from 7 years ago.
Was du
Yo.
gesagt hast. Was du gesagt hast.
Ja, ich hab's dir vorhin erst gecheckt, aber holy
Slave?
shit. Das ist der Plot-Twist. Are you out of your goddamn mind? Me? A slave? Like how a former slave could become royalty. You did it though. You went from slave to lord. Enough! I don't know who's filling that white-haired head of yours with this drivel, but I'm done listening to it. Say another word and I'll throttle you myself. Yo, you could
Ja, es ist rattled.
keep slandering my name. I dare you! Maria told me the slave from back then was dead. She didn't mean it literally, though. She meant he wasn't who he used to be anymore. Maria, you've been talking to her too? Because she was afraid if Morgana found out, it would only serve to throw her this deeper into despair. Junge, boah, wie geil! Der Typ, der ihr geholfen hat und am meisten zu Morgana war, hat sie eingesperrt so.
Mhm.
Crazy. Also nicht geil, aber so. Sorry,
Doch, okay.
yeah, geil. Das ist okay. Throw deeper into despair. The man who had once saved her was now responsible for keeping her imprisoned. Do your ears not work, Kerr? I said I've had enough. I need your perspective. There's more to the story. I'm certain of it. I refuse to believe you acted only for your own benefit, only to cause her pain. If you want the key so that badly, then take it. Set the witch free. I don't give a damn. But if you say another word, I'll rip your fucking tongue out. Again, the key is not what I need right now. I need your story. Are you deaf or just an imbecile? Your perspective is crucial to saving Morgana's soul. Enough! When you were a slave, you helped Morgana escape from the Lord. Silence! And you spent the next 3 years with her. Just one more fucking word, I swear to God! So how did you end up here? How did the boy from 7 years ago go from saving her to locking her up and stealing her blood? There's no excusing your actions, no. But please, I need you to tell me how you got to this point. Enough!
Michel!
The next thing I see is a dagger in his hand, pointed at me.
Yukimasa, bro.
Huh? Yeah, Yukimasa, save him. I reflexively try to push myself out of the path of his charge with my dominant hand, which sends a jolt of excruciating pain to my right arm. Yeah, fuck. I rip your fucking head off. The Lord swings his arm up, and the necklace spills from my pocket, making a metallic clink as it hits the floor. Von ihm, ne? Von Jacopo, die Necklace. Wer war da kurz? Ich weiß gar nicht, ob ich mich falsch erinnere, aber war es nicht auch so? In Dort 3 mit der Necklace irgendwas? Oder bin ich gerade lost? Oder
Das war das Geschenk an White Girl. Von Jacopo.
Ihr Necklace? Weil ich weiß gar nur noch dieses, was so diese Illusion. Naja, mal schauen. Ich weiß nicht mehr. As it hits the floor. When he sees it, his eyes go wide for a brief moment. Of course. I'm just as slack-jawed as him. What? What the hell is going on? Why? How? Why am I looking at the familiar cloud of inky black darkness? There's no one to answer my question though. Yo, ist das gerade so die Gegenwart Menschen mit der jetzigen gemerged oder so? Schau mal. And no time to think about it either. I have to make a decision right now. Oh, okay, warte, ich spreche mal ab. Willst du jetzt was machen? Habe ich glaube ich schon, aber egal. The Lord, dagger raised, is quickly approaching. Off to the side, the cloud of darkness is expanding. I reach into darkness, shove the Lord aside. Boah, ich kann gar nicht predikten, was das jetzt so ist, ne? Wenn man reach into the darkness, das ist wahrscheinlich, dann haben wir wieder so einen Flashback von Morgana, weißt du, denke ich, wo wir so sie sind. Und shove the Lord aside, dann können wir jetzt seine Story sehen, wahrscheinlich.
Denkst du, wenn wir nicht aside schaffen, dann, dass wir dann sterben, oder what's going on?
Weiß nicht, reach into darkness, denke ich einfach, wir sind dann so Morgana, weißt du, wieder. Und das interessiert mich schon, aber I don't know.
Im Moment will ich JACOPO'S Story hören, aber...
Ja, ich weiß ja nicht, welche was gibt. Kann auch sein, dass Reach into Darkness das zeigt.
Ja, mach, wie du fühlst. Ich glaub, keine Ahnung.
Okay, warte mal.
Du kannst auch Entscheidungs-App entscheiden lassen.
Ja, ich meine, was will es uns bringen? Ja, warte mal.
Normalerweise haben wir immer gemacht, eine Sache exploren, also anstatt mit Maria nicht mitzugehen, sind wir mitgegangen.
Ja, also Reach into Darkness wäre das Logische. Obwohl, die Darkness breitet sich ja auch automatisch, weißt du, das kann auch sein, dass es egal ist, aber boah, Digga, ich finde, das ist die mitschwerste Entscheidung, weil ich habe keine Ahnung, was passiert bei beiden.
Ja, ich auch nicht, ich lasse halt eins von beiden testen und dann zurückgehen, wenn es nirgendwo hinführt.
Ja, kann auch sein, dass es halt so, weißt du, die Story progress. Und dass wir das andere erst dann sind. Egal, ich hatte auch Reach into the Darkness mache ich jetzt.
Gut.
I guess. Mal schauen. Let's go, Freunde. By the way, ich liebe diesen Sound, der ist so geil, der macht so richtig so Momentum, kann man das nennen. Reach into the darkness. Let's go! I reach my hand to the darkness spreading from the necklace. Ach, von der Necklace kommt es. And as soon as I do... What? What the hell is this?
What's that black stuff?
The blackness swells, consuming us all.
Oh.
Also alle sehen das jetzt. Ja, alle sehen's, alle 4.
Ja, aber es consumed alle.
Ja. No, stop. What is this? Don't make me watch this. Also wir sehen jetzt sozusagen, glaube ich, die Wahrheit, weißt du? Also sozusagen eine Door, also eine Zwischendoor kam, oder die Story. He shouts, fade into the distance. Ja, tell.
Tell.
Es ist so forced, wie bei Michel. And my mind and body are swallowed up entirely. It's the same thing that happens whenever Giselle and I open my door. Yo, the same darkness I've gazed into again and again and again and again in that cursed mansion. That house that exists outside reality. Far, far off into the distance, I can see a gentle light, like a hole ripped off, out of the darkness. Green grass and colorful flowers rustling in the wind. I don't understand. The darkness, it was never present in the past. It was, I thought, a phenomenon restricted to the realm of the dead. So what is it doing here? But even my questions are, in short order, swallowed up by the void. Soon my body ceases to retain its form, leaving only my consciousness to view the sights, sounds, and emotions of someone's past. I become an observer, as I have many times before. Holy shit, hab ich Bock! Yo!
Fata Morgana.
Oh, weil ich wollte hier drüber sprechen. The Slave. Also das ist JACOPO'S Story jetzt. Ich hab Bock, JACOPO zu lesen. Also, was ist deine Story hier? Okay, let's go. Oh, kurz einmal stretchen, Freunde, und sei halt, damit man schön lesen kann. Ich hab richtig Bock jetzt. I'm staring into a pair of ruby red eyes, open wide with shock. I recall snapping at him, insulting him, but I don't remember what I said.
Michel.
Yeah, I guess. Nor do I... Huh? Yeah. Nor do I remember how he responded. All I know is that a wave of churning blackness appeared out of nowhere, washing me away. I'm powerless, helpless, hopeless. My young mind sucked into it like a whirlpool. Young? My young mind? Oh, for Christ's sake. You have got to be kidding me. Why? For the love of God, why am I being made to look back at this part of my life? The miserable, stupid fucking romantic I once was. Why am I turning back into the boy I tried so hard to forget? Where did this absurd black smoke come from? And why can't I get out of it? If it's that white-haired a man who's doing this to me, then he's not an angel or a prophet. He's the goddamn devil himself. Ihr wisst nicht, das ist irgendwie passiert einfach, ne? Vielleicht die Blackness, also so in dem Gegenstand war so die Story enthalten, weißt du, sag ich mal. Naja, but all my questions, my confusion, my frustration, everything that composes my present is superseded by that darkness, wisping away into nothing. Yo!
What the fuck?
Yo! Der Soundtrack.
Das ist richtig so.
Disturbed.
Ja.
Also erstmal, das ist so wie bei Morgana, ne?
Mhm.
Und das Bild gerade, das sah so aus wie, boah, Digga, wie geil.
Mhm.
Scheiße, ich hätte schnell Foto machen können.
Ja, fuck. Kannst du auch nicht zurückgehen. Ah, ne, in der Aufnahme.
Ja,
Also später.
theoretisch könnte ich Load machen, hier hingehen und dann nochmal
in der
einfach.
Aufnahme.
Ja. Oh, yo, das Soundtrack.
Mhm.
Okay, Freunde, ich hab richtig Bock.
Ja, let's go.
The Slave. Let's go. To be blunt, the world's a small place. There's an unimaginable amount of it out there, but you only ever get to see a minuscule fraction of that.
True.
Mal kurz nochmal den Hintergrund anschauen. Hier ist so eine Hand, ne?
Mhm.
Eine Hand. Ein Stab oder so, mehr kenne ich nicht. Scheiße.
Ja, lass nochmal nachschauen in der
Ja.
Aufnahme.
And that goes doubly. Ich schau mal kurz. Okay. And that goes doubly so for us. The poor barely get the chance to see any of it at all. And those who were born into affluence, well, they have no idea just how small our world really is. I never yearned for the world outside what I knew. I more coveted it, a splash of spite mixed in. Boah, ich sag ehrlich, wenn diese Story hier geil ist, könnte Jacopo mein Zweitlieblingscharakter werden.
Mhm.
Ich will kurz nachschauen, was coveted heißt, ich bin gar nicht mehr so sicher.
Ja, das stimmt, weil Jacopo ist jetzt schon so ein nice Character. Es kommt erst noch sein so Writing.
Ja. Ich begehren, mehr begehren.
Mhm.
Also begehren. Oder Desire auch. A splash of spite mixed in. Okay. Boah, Freunde, ich hab so Bock jetzt. Wirklich. Mit dem Soundtrack. Jetzt wird der Morgana Soundtrack, also ihre Story erzählt, aber auch so geil. Und der ist auch sehr nice, muss ich sagen. Let's go. I wanted to claw my way up the mountain, knock all the bastards down who had never seen what it was like at the bottom. If I made it high enough, I could do anything. I would have complete freedom. And now, if that sounds like a childish fantasy to you, well, you'd be right. That's exactly what it was. There you are. You spend so much time in the graveyard that one of these days someone's going to think you're a gravekeeper, or maybe a grave robber. I can understand a gravekeeper, but I take offense at the suggestion I look like a grave robber. I'm praying for the souls who have no one to see them off. The girl, named Morgana, turned around to face me. Though I'd known her for some time, I rarely ever looked her in the eyes. Her face was almost always concealed beneath a dark hood, revealing only the tip of her nose and sometimes her lips. Honestly, I don't get it. Why do you care so much? These are souls that have no one else to pray for them. At best, they may get a bit of lip service from a priest once or twice. It's our responsibility to offer a helping hand to the sick and the poor, to pray for the abandoned souls. What I don't get is why you need to pray for the dead at all. They're just bags of bones. I hope you enjoy an eternity in hell, blasphemer. Hey! That was uncalled for. I'm just joking, obviously. You take black humor to a new level. Morgana gave me a curt shrug, then turned away. Es ist aber so, als hätte das Morgana so gesagt. So Kurt Shrugs wird es so gesagt mit so, als würde sie nicht jucken. So, mal schauen. She never faced anyone head on for very long. And she had a perfectly good reason for it. It wasn't because she disliked me or anything. I don't think. Anyway. About 3 years earlier, something had happened that had caused large patches of flesh to fall off her face. Supposedly, she had looked fine before then, but I only knew her as she was at that time. 3 years before? Okay. The rest of her body was covered in wounds. Sag mal, wounds oder wounds?
Wounds.
Okay, wounds as well. But applying ointment to them had reduced the scarring significantly. Also es ist, während sie in dem Broadway war. Also, mit dem Ointment. Her face, though, showed no signs of recovering. A close friend of mine, a prostitute, said she thought it might be a psychological thing, but regardless, I continued applying the ointment to Morgana's face. Hey, come on, don't turn away from me. I know you can hear me. I brought ointment, so let me put it on you. Ich glaube, das ist so, die reden ja miteinander, ne? Also it's a waste of time ist, was Morgana sagt, oder? Also ich lese dafür trotzdem, weil wir nicht immer wissen, wer was liest, weil es geht schneller. It's a waste of time. You don't know that. Your arms look much better than before. It won't be long before your face starts healing too. The ointment is free. You're wasting your money. It's my money, I can use it however I please. So just shut up and let me do this. You're a very obnoxious man, you know. What was it? You want me to rub it in real hard? Huh? Fine. With a forlorn graveyard as their backdrop, a young man applied salve to a girl's raw, exposed flesh. It was quite possibly the least romantic sight in the world. I would have, at the very least, preferred a somewhat more pleasant location. As the thought fluttered through my mind, I let out a defeated laugh, and I could soon feel her glaring at me. Morgana could be a bit standoffish, but honestly, I didn't mind. For her, this was actually quite sociable, in fact. When I first met her, she didn't act her age at all, but now, she was starting to show signs of the 12-year-old girl hidden inside. 3 years prior, when I met Morgana, she had been the victim of unspeakable abuse at the house of the Lord. I didn't know why he had done those things to her. And I didn't ask either, because I knew doing so would only reopen old wounds. All I knew was that the Lord was so far gone as a human being as to brutally torture a 9-year-old girl. Eben, wie kam es denn dazu, dass das jetzt macht? Ich bin so gespannt, Digga. At the time, the only thing that ever seemed to come out of her mouth was the word of God. Everything she said or did was ostensibly for the benefit of others, but it felt to me more like she was acting out of some sort of sense of duty rather than genuine concern. Honorable, but ultimately hollow. I much preferred this Morgana, even if she could be a bit jaded. What are you hoping to get out of repairing my face? I'm not trying to get anything, I just want you to heal up. And here I thought you were going to try and make me work at the brothel. How many times do I have to tell you? I'm not going to make you be a prostitute. What other reason could you have for wasting my face to get better? Wanting my face to get better. Because I want to see it. Isn't that enough? Just so we're clear, that wasn't me hitting on you, okay? The thought never occurred to me. She felt quiet, sitting there, motionless, as I rubbed ointment into her face. Her skin beneath my thumb was rough and unpleasant to the touch, and honestly rather stomach-turning. It was hard to imagine her face would ever heal. What I'd said about wanting to see her face was true. But what I wanted more than anything was for her to be able to live a relatively normal life. I hope you're prepared to be let down if I ever do heal. That possibility is just part of the fun. You have as much tact as a worm. No tact and bad taste. I'm a real winner. It's a wonder no one throttles you in your sleep. Being a guy, of course, I would have been pleased if she turned out pretty with her face healed. But her life was guaranteed to be easier than now, no matter what she looked like. That was what really mattered, ultimately. I could only imagine how hard it was to have your life turned completely upside down at the age of 9. A large portion of us in the slums had our share of misfortune, but hardly any of them stacked up to what Morgana had to bear. She had no parents. When I'd asked about her mother, she'd gotten cagey with me, so I assumed she'd been sold off. When I'd asked about her father, though, she just pointed up at the sky, which I took to mean he was dead.
He's the god.
Yeah. A young girl, no family, sent off all on her own to some strange land, somewhere along the line ending up in the Lord's cruel grasp. Misfortune felt like an understatement, if anything. That said, it wasn't just out of pity that I gave Morgana so much of my attention. Boah, deswegen, man muss kurz nochmal sagen, also, holy shit, macht das gar nicht Spaß.
Ja.
Also das hier ist, finde ich, der geilste Part in Door 8.
Mhm. Ja,
Auf Final Door.
Mhm.
Boah.
Final Door 4.
Ja. Mystical Burnet. Ja, allein das bei The Final Door, da stand Fourth Door, ne? Hätte man schon denken müssen, dass es so, also wir haben uns schon gedacht, so Scab, weil wir mal nachschauen, aber trotzdem. Egal, let's go. Yeah. The other reason though, well, she'd probably go running if I told her. How? I wanted to hit myself over the head. Ich das bitte mal. Letztens, also vor ein paar Folgen, als wir Kimata Flashback gesehen hatten, hatte er zu Jacopo gesagt, jemand, der so etwas vorstellen könnte, kann selber keine clean hands haben. So. Und deswegen denke ich mal, er hat den Real Lord getötet. Also, das ist die Person, die er gekillt hat. Also, mal schauen. I'll still be your friend, even if you turn out to be the ugliest girl in the city. You should be grateful. How is it you haven't managed to chase off everyone in your life yet? I act like a decent guy around other people. Do my best to fit in. Then why are you such a dolt around me? Just doing my best to fit in. So you think this is my fault? Everyone could use a turn or two. Makes them more exciting. You especially. Okay, that should be everything. Does it sting anywhere? Not particularly, no. Alright. Oh, also, finish up here and get back to Maria soon. Unless you'd rather I drag you there. Why? Seriously? It's your damn birthday, that's why. Oh, also an dem Tag ist gewählt worden. And? What do you think, dimwit? She wants to celebrate. Get back there soon, okay? I'm planning to drop by too. Okay. Okay. She gave a sheepish nod, which was honestly kind of cute, but of course I couldn't say that. So I shrugged my shoulders, feigning aspiration, and then turned to leave. Once I might have offered to accompany her back to the brothel, but Morgana never seemed keen on the idea of walking anywhere with me. Maybe she was afraid of grown men, after what had happened to her at the Lord's Manor. Or maybe she just didn't want me to be seen with someone who looked like her. So hey, I thought you were leaving. One day, I'll show you the world. I won't get my hopes up. Get your hopes up, damn it! I said with a soft chuckle, and then I took my leave. I had every intention of making good on that promise, and I had more than enough reason to believe I could. 3 years back, there was a slave revolt at the Lord's Manor. That's not quite accurate though. Because, while I was partly responsible for inciting the riot, I wasn't actually a slave. The local lord was spoken of in whispers as the second coming of the great tyrant of old. I wasn't actually a slave. What? Oh, wait. Oh, Digga. Oh. So, ich habe jetzt die Idee, dass er einer der so Angestellten dort war einfach, oder ob er wirklich ein Sohn vom Lord ist, so wie mich hier, und der so seinen eigenen Vater verabschiedet hat oder so ein Shit. Ne? Kann ja auch sein. Oh, Digga! So, yeah. The people were constantly grumbling about how he seemed to treat the land like his own personal playground, exploiting everything and everyone on it for his own amusement. When enough stress and resentment builds up and contains space, all it takes is a little shove from the outside to burst. And that was our plan. Me and a number of other dissatisfied citizens gathered together to pop that bubble and give the Lord a taste of how we felt about him. With the help of a slave trader, I infiltrated the Lord's manor. I had known slaves weren't treated well, but seeing it for myself, I thought most of these people would have been happier having been born as a dog or cat and owned by someone who actually had a heart. It was revolting, a flagrant injustice. Broadly speaking, there are two types of people who see injustice in the world. The first are those who have everything, who sit unchallenged at the top of the world, looking down on the less fortunate with pity. The second are those with nothing, who wish to overthrow the entire system, keeping them down. It should come as no surprise that I fell in the second camp. Once I was inside, I went around the manor, telling all the slaves about our plan. Most of them had long since lost the will to fight, über Katara auf dem Schiff. But with enough assurance, there were people on the outside ready and waiting for to help. Glimmers of hope started to return to their eyes. Finding out they weren't alone, that they weren't helpless anymore, had an incredible effect on their morale. And once the slaves were convinced, the revolt began. It ended up being much larger in scale than I had imagined, and many lost their lives in the process, but the majority of them managed to escape. Naturally, the slaves couldn't stay in the city, so I directed them to people waiting outside who would take them to another city or neighboring country. I had neither the money nor the power to guarantee them a good life on the outside, but that hardly mattered to them. Everyone was sure that wherever they ended up would be better than staying, and I prayed that would be the case. It was during the revolt that I saved Morgana. I would have sent her off somewhere else, like all the other slaves, but she was in so dire a condition when I found her that she could hardly even move on her own. She had been sapped of all her willpower. So I brought her to the brothel where a friend of mine worked and asked her to take Morgana in. My companions and I reveled in the revolt's success. It wasn't enough of an accomplishment to have any real political implications, but we still felt like heroes. Drunk on victory, we started talking about going bigger, starting a full-on revolution. Once the elation passed though, we realized there wasn't much more we could do. Even if we did manage to start a large enough uprising to kill the Lord, we were only peasants. Not only did we not know the first thing about ruling, the other counts would never acknowledge our authority anyway. We'd pretend to be in control until the next in line showed up, and that would be the end of that. So we just ended up sitting on our thumbs, no way to do anything about our discontent. Skip forward to about a month before Morgana's birthday. One day, a middle-aged woman approached me. Yo, die Mutter? I had never met her, also die Mutter von Morgana, before, but she had wavy hair that reminded me a great deal of my own.
Das ist seine Mutter.
Yo, what? Looking me straight in the eye, the woman said, I was once a maid servant for the Bainer estate. They've done their best to keep it secret, but I had a child with the previous lord. Das ist er doch.
Ja.
And that child is you. The revelation came completely out of the blue. According to her, I had royal blood, and if we could convince the lord of that, I would become royalty. Furthermore, she, as my alleged mother, could return to her old life at the manor. The woman urged me to take action, to meet the Lord, reveal my lineage, and claim, no, reclaim, my rightful place at the baronial house. I would no longer be a poor peasant living in the slums. I would have a comfortable life. Jetzt frage mich noch was. I obviously wasn't going to agree on the spot. Her story was so blatantly dubious, I needed some time to think on it. If she was telling the truth, though, it could transform our revolution from a dream into a reality. We wouldn't be restricted to inciting inconsequential uprising. I could seize power legitimately and make some actual change. So I asked the woman to give me some time to consider. Have you decided what you're going to give her? That was the very first thing I heard when I stepped through the back door of the brothel. Maria, a short, blonde-haired prostitute and good friend of mine, flashed me a devilish smirk. I bought a necklace, as per your suggestion. Girls appreciate that sort of thing, don't they? Most do. Me? I've got a taste for knives and other such pointy things. I doubt she'd as much interest in those, though. Sometimes I wonder if you're actually a girl. Anyone could see that Maria and I were close, but our relationship was strictly platonic. Of course, given her line of work, it was unavoidable that people thought otherwise. And honestly, it irritated me every time someone suggested we were anything more than friends. People have this annoying short-sighted tendency to assume that just because a guy and a girl are friendly, they must be intimate. It didn't matter that she was a girl. I only thought of her as a friend, and as best as I could. That's all she thought of me as well. As best as I could tell, my bad. Maria and I first met when we were children. Even at that age, she was already a prostitute, myself a petty thief. We were both incredibly lucky to have survived to adulthood with only ourselves to watch each other's backs. It's possible the only reason either of us maintained the willpower to survive this long was because we had each other to bitch about life to when things got bad. So is today the day? Today is the day. Are you finally gonna tell her how you feel? Excuse me? Tell her how I what? Don't be a coy. You know exactly what. And it's about time you manned up and told her. I think you've got a better chance than you think. Do I need to remind you how old she is? 12 as of today. Practically an adult.
Ah!
Ja, für Maria ist halt so, weil sie hat schon mit 9 angefangen,
Ja.
prostituiert zu sein. Ich weiß gar nicht, wie alt ist Jacopo halt so, ne?
Ich weiß auch nicht.
Wegen diesem Bild, was wir am Anfang gesehen haben vom Flashback, denke ich, der ist halt so Jugendlicher oder junger Erwachsener.
Vielleicht erfahren wir es jetzt.
Ja, mal schauen. I was knee deep in dick at that age.
Was heißen soll.
Geil. Geiler Satz. You comparing her to you? The longer you hold off saying something, the more difficult it becomes. Break a leg. Party's gonna be in the back, so there won't be any customers around to interfere. Alright. I chewed over what Maria had said as I watched her disappear down a brothel corridor. She wasn't wrong. She wasn't overanalyzing. I did, indeed, have special feelings for Morgana. Women seem to have this strange, somewhat terrifying ability to read people's minds. And Maria was a prime example of that prime moment. I had never once so much as suggested to anyone I might think anything of Morgana, but Maria had somehow managed to pick up on it almost immediately. Fortunately, she didn't seem particularly bothered by the fact. Though, if anyone else were to find out, I could only imagine the looks I would get. I mean, Morgana was 12 and I was 22!
Ja.
Also jetzt haben wir es erfahren. Und wir müssen überlegen, dass das 4 Jahre vor jetzt der Gegenwart, also die 16, er ist 28, wenn ich gut rechne. Ich dachte, er ist noch so in seinen Teens, 16 oder so.
Was hast du gesagt? Du hast gesagt, so vor 4 Jahren.
Also in 4 Jahren.
Ja, also ist jetzt 16 und er?
26. 22 plus 4.
Hast du das 28 gesagt?
Ja, habe ich auch gesagt, my bad. Ja, 26, ja, scheiße. Egal. Ja, ich dachte, halt er ist so 16, 15, 17, keine Ahnung von dem Bild. Aber okay, crazy. That wasn't normal. I've never felt this way about anyone else that young either. Any other girl Morgana's age just looked like another kid to me. So why was she any different? She was covered in scars, and every other time we met, she would tell me to go to hell, and she refused to walk anywhere with me, and no matter how much I broke, I could never seem to get all the way through. Yet still, the world felt like it was just a little bit better a place when I was with her. It made me want to see her smile, no matter how grotesque her face. How would I even go about saying it, assuming I actually did? Even if your face still isn't healed in 4 years, I take you as my lifetime partner, Morgana? God, no, that's terrible. There has to be a better way to put it. No, I was getting stressed out, and it was all thanks to Maria. This was supposed to be a day of celebration, not of fretting over stupid personal matters. Not long after I arrived at the brothel and made my way to the back room, Maria and a handful of other unoccupied girls showed up. Morgana, who was supposed to be the guest of honor, was even more reticent than usual. Was heißt reticent? Zurückhaltend?
Ja.
Ich glaub schon, ne? The prostitutes chatted amongst themselves about work in unabashedly graphic detail, trading info on which customers were good and which customers were bad. Oh, Freunde, muss man mal kurz sagen, Digga, mittendrin standen nur
Dabei.
Wahrscheinlich bei der fucking Jugend. Oh, so, okay. Also das ist jetzt hier gerade auch, by the way, Freunde, Digga, was hab ich da? Es ist gerade der Tag, an dem die graded wurden von so Bandits oder so. Ja, let's go. Oh, let's go. All the while, Morgana looking incredibly uncomfortable. You guys think you could maybe change the subject? Like we have anything else to talk about? Making the birthday girl want to hide in a corner defeats the whole purpose, don't you think? Oh no, don't mind me. I don't have anything I want to talk about. Morgana said almost in a whisper, her head downturned. At least eat something then. The cookies are barely sweetened and dry as rocks, but they're edible. Ah! Jacopo, you little bitch! You've got some stones to shit talk my cookies to my face. Stop it, Maria. Stop throwing things at me. The other girls cackled as Maria and I bickered. Hoping it might have elicited a reaction from Morgana as well, I snuck a glance over at her, but she remained expressionless. You're right. You are right about one thing, though. This is Morgana's day. So let's change the subject. Maria said with a little laugh, having hurled everything within arm's reach at me. Like I said, I don't have anything to talk about. Sure you do. You just have to look a little harder. Not saying you have to reminisce. For us, it can be anything. Let's see. Here's an idea. Are there any guys you got your eyes on? I spewed my tea all over the table.
There is.
Even du kurz? Ja, schau auf, egal, genau. Willst du den, oder wie? Was willst du?
Ich dachte, das ist so gezögert. Ich dachte,
Nee, ich hatte was überlegt. And then I started choking. What? Seriously? Holy shit! Who is it? Tell me. Who's the lucky guy? God! Everyone fell silent. Maria gave me a sympathetic look, and I knew exactly what she wanted to say. Sorry kids, you ain't got nothing on God. Asshole. If you're gonna dream big, right? Yeah, I get where you're coming from, pining after the all-powerful, all-knowing God. I'm with you. You bald-faced liar! The grass may be a hell of a lot greener up there, but it's a bit far, don't you think? You're better off settling for the weeds down here. Did she just imply I'm a weed? Maria looked over and gave me a wide grin at the sight of me grinding my teeth, then continued. Say, the young man over... Wait, stop right there. Don't say another word. Whoopsie, me and my big mouth, I almost did your job for you. God damn it, Maria. Er wollte zuerst Gott sagen, ne? Aber hat er nicht gesagt wegen Morgana. Das hier so Gott. This was not good. Like hell, I was going to let her corner me into saying it here. I stole a glance at Morgana, but her gaze was locked on her knees. I couldn't see what, if any, kind of reaction she was having. Morgana, what she was trying to say is that I have to go. What? I have to go to the bathroom. Sure. Morgana got up from her chair and left the room in silence. I imagine I was making a rather flexed expression because as soon as Morgana was gone, Maria began cackling like a madwoman. My reply was the nearest object, courtesy of my throwing arm. Loser! How hard is it to just say it? It would have been easier if you hadn't cornered me like that. You think I believe you would have done it without a little nudge? I would have. Eventually. Eventually I ain't gonna cut it. Now's the right time. And don't worry, me and the girls won't make fun of you for getting your rocks off to little girls. That's not the reason I like her. Besides, I would wait at least 4 years before. Achso, 4 years before ging was, ne? Doesn't mean you can't tell her now. I think it do her wonders, really. She's, well, you know. So I think knowing someone cares about her will lighten the load a bit. When she comes back, give her the necklace and tell her how you feel. And if she turns you down, we can all have a good laugh about it. Maria and a few other girls chuckled. As uncomfortable as she was making me feel, she had a point. Regardless of whether Morgana reciprocated my feelings or not, there was a good chance that just putting them out there would help in breaking down the walls she had built in her heart. And maybe one day, I would actually be able to see her smile. I'll do it. I'll tell her. It didn't matter if I came out looking like a loser. It didn't matter if Morgana wasn't interested in me that way. What mattered was that she knew someone accepted her, regardless of her appearance or the things she had been through. And if by some chance there really was royal blood flowing through my veins, then I could make good on my promise to show her the world. I could put an end to her life of poverty and abuse, replace it with one of comfort and wealth.
Ja, das ist crazy hier. Wie ist es dann dazu gekommen in der Gegend? You know?
Ja, wieso hat das eingespielt? Wirklich
Ja.
so.
Crazy, what the fuck. Na, weiter geht's.
I could buy her even better medicine. Something that could actually heal her face. Ihr eigenes Blut vielleicht? Yeah, joke. If I truly were royalty, I could do so much more for her. Make it sound like I want to be some kind of fairy tale hero or something. But honestly, I wouldn't have minded that. If I was going to make her happy, to wipe away all her past misfortune, why couldn't I make it a little dramatic? It wasn't usually my style, but in this case, I wouldn't have objected to a storybook ending. Aber jetzt kam ja die Raider, ne? Genau jetzt. This, though. No. This wasn't the end of the story I was hoping for. The kind of story I was hoping for. Boah. Ne? Blut. Boah.
Das erinnert mich ja an den Brief. Das war die Tale von
Morgana. Ja, das ist ja genau gleich gewesen. Dann
Pergament, das mein Blut und Blut.
In my blood and blood. The heavy curtains separating the guest rooms had been torn to shreds, and they were splattered with blood. A man, apparently caught without enough time to defend himself, lay splayed out naked on a bed, his empty eyes fixed on the ceiling. The whole area reeked of blood. All I could do was stare, stupefied at the carnage. What the hell? Why? How could this happen? My dumbfounded muttering went unanswered though. The few who were still alive could no better make sense of the incomprehensible massacre than me. The sudden, arbitrary upheaval of our world. The inexplicable, inescapable reality. Shortly after Morgana stepped out, I heard a woman scream from the front of the brothel. Next, a man shouting. At first I assumed it was one of the customers losing his temper over something. But the tone of the scream seemed somehow off for something like that. It wasn't long before the noise had escalated to alarming levels, so I dashed toward the source of the shouting. A good dozen men, bandits or maybe thieves. They seemed more organized, had raided the brothel. They slaughtered all the customers, stripping them of any valuables. And they tied up the girls, killing any who resisted. The first thought that rose to my panicked mind was that I needed to find Morgana. I needed to get her out of here, no matter what. I couldn't let her birthday turn into a tragedy. She had already been through enough, and I had to make sure she didn't suffer any further. I had to make her life into something good. I searched, but there was no sign of Morgana anywhere. Until suddenly, something seemed to crash into me from behind, causing me to stagger. It took a few seconds for the pain to set in, which is when I looked down to see the tip of a blade sticking out of my gut. Junge, auf den Spieß. The blood streamed along the metal surface, and there were little bits of flesh caught on the edges. I turned around just in time to see the man holding it kick me away. And before I had time to process what was happening, I hit the floor and lost consciousness. If I were a hero, I could have surely eradicated all the violent intruders in the blink of an eye, saving everyone. Protected that which I wanted to protect. Not had to lose anything. But I was a mere boy. A weak boy, helpless against a few robbers. A useless boy, unable to protect anyone. When I woke up, Maria was kneeling over me, sobbing. No sign of the tough, full-mouthed girl I knew. Foul-mouthed girl I knew. Aside from her, there were 2 other girls also crying, leaving only 4 survivors. Apparently I wasn't dead. Looking down, I saw my bare stomach wrapped in blood-soaked bandages. The broth lay in ruins, a bloody pile of torn bedding, clothes, and bodies. I made my way back to the front. And all I could do was stare stupefied at the carnage. What the hell? Why? How could this happen? My dumbfounded muttering went unanswered though. Maria stood beside me, quietly rubbing her trembling arms. Where's Morgana? I couldn't find her. Why not? I'm sorry, I looked everywhere. But I couldn't find her. I'm so sorry. I wanted to say I wasn't blaming her, but I couldn't find the words. If I had had power, I could have prevented this from happening. What kind of power would I have needed, though? The physical strength to overpower the thieves? No, I needed to think bigger. If I weren't a peasant, but someone of real influence and import, no one would dare stand up to me. No petty thieves would ever even consider a raid on me, and I would have the power to punish anyone who tried. But regardless, this would have never happened at all. I was supposed to give Morgana a good life, to show her the world, to make her smile. If only I had power. Sehr hydrated, by the way, Freunde. So. If only I had power. Absolute, unflinching power. If I had climbed to the top of the ladder, when the chance was offered to me, this all could have been avoided. If only I had asserted my place as royalty a month earlier, as the woman who claimed to be my mother had urged me to. I wanted power. The power to keep everything I cared about safe. The power to change this damned world. The power to stop those filthy thieves. The power to keep her by my side. I wanted power. I heard about the attack on the brothel, and that you were hurt. I'm so glad to see you're well. About a week after the raid, I went to see the woman who professed herself my mother. As you would expect of someone who had served at the old Lord's manor, she was very elegant and graceful. The shack where she stayed, though, was a shabby, drab place with bare wattle and daub walls. You were concerned about my safety? Of course! Show me a mother who is not always concerned about her child's safety. Ich bin wirklich gespannt, aber wie viel so... Wie ist die Mutter? Oder? Naja, schauen. Says the woman I'd never seen until a month ago. Physical distance has no bearing on a mother's love, she said with a soft smile. Age had clearly begun taking its toll on her, but I could see hints of former beauty. If you had gone to speak with the Lord and revealed your lineage when I first came to see you, you would never have been in that kind of danger. There's still time. Go to the Lord's Manor. Show him. I'm not really your son, am I? The woman fell silent for a moment, observing me. I could see the resemblance between us, yes. And I had no memories of my mother. It would be nice if she were to show back up someday, but it just wasn't likely. This whole thing felt extremely contrived. Discussions will progress much smoother if we both know what the other wants out of this arrangement. Start by telling me who you really are. Were you actually a maidservant for the previous lord? She gave a nod, then walked over to a grimy shelf and retrieved a ring that looked very much out of place. It was made of gold, engraved with an elaborate insignia. Look at this, it's the Barnier family crest. The previous lord gave me the ring as a gift, and I've kept it ever since, even after our relationship was discovered and I was chased out. I didn't sell it because I knew I was with child. They will have no choice but to acknowledge you as a legitimate heir if you show them this ring. Why did you wait so long to come find me then? I was afraid they might kill you if I brought you in as a baby. Why were we separated? Misfortune. One day bandits came and kidnapped you. Presumably they were hired by the Barnier estate because they didn't want your existence coming to light. I consider it a miracle you're still alive. I can only imagine the stern look on my face as I listened to the woman speak. Part of me did indeed want to take everything she said as true. Wanted to believe I was someone important, but I couldn't convince myself I had anything other than a commoner's blood running through my veins. It would appear you've done your research. I don't have any other family, to the best of my knowledge, which does indeed make me a good candidate for you to step in and claim your stake on. If I were to guess, your child with the Lord has either passed away or never existed at all. It's probably true that you worked at the Barnier's Manor, and it's probably true that you had relations with the former Lord. You were chased out, and now you live in poverty. You want to go back to your former, more comfortable life, and while you're at it, take vengeance on the current Lord. But being a woman, you have no means to accomplish that yourself. So you came up with the idea of using a fake son. If your child were still alive, he would be right about my age, wouldn't he? And we look similar enough for you to convincingly claim we're related. But the biggest problem you chose me, the biggest reason you chose me, is because I've made something of a name for myself. Because I was one of the people involving in inciting the revolt 3 years ago. Involved? The perfect choice to spearhead a revolution. How dramatic! The man who set the Lord's slaves free was secretly his family. The people would eat it right up. So how far off am I? For some time the woman sat in silence. Eventually she broke it, not by yelling in anger or desperately trying to refute me, but with a smile. I knew very well what lurked behind that smile too. Scorn. You're sharp for a filthy peasant. Again. It would seem I chose wisely. I was right, she was a manipulative, conniving shister. But that I could work with. That fit so much better. I wasn't royalty, I wasn't a hero. I was a filthy peasant. Amen. The first thing I did after agreeing to work with the woman was not to approach the Lord, but to reveal my false lineage to my accomplices. They all thought I was joking until I showed them the ring. Then their dreams of revolution started seeming far more realistic. Maria was the one exception. Not only did she not believe me, she tried to stop me from going through with the scheme. Haven't you had enough danger for one life? Come on, forget about all this revolution stuff. We can build up a new brothel and just stay low for the rest of our days. Does that really sound so bad? You're the only friend I've got left, Jacopo, she said, somewhat desperately. I sympathized with her concerns, but I didn't want to let this chance to gain some real power slip away. I was done having things taken away from me. Hear me, my fellow citizens. Hear me, subjects of hear me.
Ja.
Und auch, dass er Freedom will, ne?
Ja.
My fellow citizens, who live in suffering at the hands of your supposed lord. Within me flows the blood of the previous lord. I am the rightful heir. Behold, the Barnier's golden ring, proof that I am of noble birth. Victims of this terrible tyrant. The time has come to start anew, and I shall be the one to lead you down that path. The poor, the hungry, the deprived, all of you stand with me. My call to arms stoked the flames in the people's hearts. When the assault on the Lord's manor began, there were an inferno of righteous justice. No one was thinking straight. I was about the only one with something resembling a clear head amidst the chaos. If I were really a hero, then I would have rejoiced in the glorious day, that momentous turning point in the city's history. I would have been honored to have led the charge, but this was all about one woman's avarice and desire for vengeance. This was all about one man's lamentation of his own weakness. I wasn't motivated by any desire to help these people. The Lord backed into a corner, begged for his life. I decapitated him, then held his severed head up for the people.
Decapitated.
Decapitated?
Yeah.
Decapitated. Their cheers and shouts filled the air. Also ja, wie ich gesagt habe, hat echt hier so Blut in die Hände bekommen, als du sozusagen, dass er den alten Lord gekillt hat. As I watched them rejoice, I wondered, was this the future that awaited me? Would the people come after me next? Ja, es ist national attempts, ne, wurde so gesagt. Was my head going to be in one of their hands one day? The king and the other counts acknowledged my royalty, though it was less because I had the Barnier's ring and more because they thought that was the best way to prevent things from getting any messier. So with their approval, I formally became the lord of the land. I also assumed the former lord's name, because despite his reputation with his people, it was a name people knew, and one that had far more clout than my own. And just like that, my long-time dream of power had come true. That said, simply becoming the Lord didn't mean everything had fallen neatly into place. Many of the local noble families accused me of acquiring my rank illegitimately. They waited, thanks Barrett, for me to slip up. They even tried to set me up on more than one occasion. I couldn't trust anyone. On top of that, if I took too long making the improvements I had promised the people, they would start saying I was just as much of a tyrant as the previous lord. Tyrant. Oh, there was only so much I could do at once. Though especially with my hands, so full fending of the vulturous nobles. Exhaustion soon began to set in. This wasn't the world I was looking for. The one I wanted to show Morgana. Boah, nach mehr Blut so, ne? Yo, Soundtrack. It was day after draining day of betrayal, constantly having to look over my shoulder, fighting to meet unrealistic expectations. I was starting to lose sight of who I was as a person. Boah, Soundtrack ist so geil, Alter. I couldn't let anyone see me looking weak. They would see it as an opportunity to take advantage of me, to manipulate me, to eliminate me. I needed power to protect myself from those people. Attaining rank was only the first step. I needed even more power. Enough to ensure no one would ever be giving me orders, could ever play me for a fool. I turned my attention first to bolstering the economy. I provided subsidies to merchants in the city. I expanded trade routes. I made it known that people of any skin color, even those not welcome in other territories, were welcomed in my land, trying to bring some vitality to the city. The previous lord had evidently loved to throw parties, squandering away nearly all the tax money on his own entertainment. If he had left me more to work with, I would have used it to clean up and repair the slums. But for the time being, that had to remain another item on the checklist. I needed more money flowing through the city as a whole before I could make any headway on fixing up the poorer areas. Helping the people who needed it most quickly became a secondary objective. I had a pretty good idea what my former accomplices still in the slums were saying about me. Useless. I could practically hear them whispering. Some of them even started publicly slandering me in an attempt to undermine my authority, claiming I wasn't suited to be in a position of power because I had spent most of my life in the slums. It wasn't long before they had convinced the people I was just another tyrant. I had hoped that they, if no one else, would have sympathized with my position. Realized that I had every intention of helping them, and that I simply didn't have the resources for it yet. But no one saw what I was doing. No one believed me, even when I tried to explain. In one case, I invited an old companion to my manor to discuss matters, but the meeting only turned into an attempt on my life. Having absolutely no one I could trust, no one I could call an ally, hit me a lot harder than I had expected. It twisted my worldview beyond recognition. I had no need for sympathy. I couldn't show care. Couldn't show care for anyone. Otherwise, someone would inevitably. Ja. Nochmal bitte.
Es ist so wie Thanos. I am inevitable.
Ja.
Inevitably.
Inevitably. Use it against me. Old friends and strangers alike. Ja, es ist auch krass so, dass. Oh, Digga. Maria ihn ja so killen will, einfach in der Gegenwart, so, ne?
In der. So.
Nein, nein. Hier. In der Affen. Oh. Oh, Digga. Ja. Und es ist auch so ironic, sag ich mal, dass in der dritten Dose hat Fata Morgana so geplottet, dass er dann nur noch Maria als einzige vertraut.
Ja.
Und deswegen dann alles im Bach untergeht.
Ja.
Und die ist ja auch hier sein einziger Ally, wenn er es ihm wirklich alles erzählen würde wahrscheinlich. Naja. Ja. In fact, those who knew me best, those who were aware of where I had come from and what I had been before, were the ones who fought the hardest to tear me down. Rules needed to be created. Punishments established. I couldn't allow anyone to take this power from me. Anyone who so much as suggested I had come from the slums. Anyone who dared disrespect me had to be eliminated. I guess, also zwei Sachen, wieso ich denke, dass er Morgana eingeschlossen hat. Erstens, er hatte gesagt, to keep her by my side hätte er die Kraft gehabt. Und das so hatte sie immer an seiner Seite. So, er hat gesagt, der Worldview ist richtig twisted geworden. Und zweitens denke ich, weil sie auch so ihn kannte aus den Slums, so weißt du, dass er wollte nicht, dass irgendwie so Leute ihn...
Jemand mit ihr Kontakt hat.
Ja. All threats exterminated before they could reach me. Ja, so. Also alles im Keim ersticken sozusagen. Somewhere along the line, I had lost sight of my original dream. Digga, mittendrin schon nur bei Freunde. I lost all my desire to do right by the people I cared about. Hell! I didn't have anyone to do right by anymore. Why did I need to climb to the top of the ladder so no one could kill me? Why did I want money so no one could mock me?
Mock.
Why did I want power so no one could oppose me? Aber davor hat er noch gesagt, why did I want power so I could protect the ones dear to me? Aber ist auch nicht mich opposen sozusagen, wenn man so sagen will. 4 years passed, and I found myself in a very, very distant place. Miracle Blood sounds like a sham to me. You never know. They say the sound of her first cry also das Gespräch mit Yukimasa. The sound of her first cry brought rain to the land where she was born, saving the whole village from drought. And they say her blood has the power to cure any disease. One day a curious rumor came to my attention. Was ich mich auch frage, vielleicht ist es so, er hat nicht gecheckt, dass es Morgana ist. Und erst als Yukimasa ihm dann gebracht hat, da hat er gesehen, oh fuck, es ist Morgana. Aber too far gone, er konnte es jetzt nicht mehr rückgängig machen.
Ja.
Aber er sie trotzdem dann nicht einsperren sollen, so aber. Mal schauen. A curious rumor came to my attention. The kind of whispering I wouldn't usually...
Du warst ja auch bei Yukimasa, er kannte ja auch Morgana und hat dann erst gecheckt, dass sie es ist, als er da war.
Ja, also trotzdem gemacht. The kind of whispering I wouldn't usually put much stock into. It was said that there was a witch living in a cottage by the lake. Few had ever seen her face, but they claimed she had the same voice as a girl who had supposedly performed miracles several years earlier in a faraway village. The people loved the stories of heroes and miracles, and if I could show some support for the churches, then maybe people would stop complaining I was focusing too much on the economy. So I devised a plot to capture the witch and make use of her, Miracle Blood. I would establish my new church, have it be run by a nun the city had been fawning over for some time. They called her the Saintess. There, I would take the witch's blood and call it a miracle medicine, distributing it in exchange for tithes, which the people would certainly come for in droves. And if the blood somehow did happen to have special powers, then that would make the scheme that much more effective. I worry about the veracity of the rumors later. Right now, all I want is for you to capture her and bring her to me. I was too busy to handle capturing the witch myself, so I went and found someone to handle it for me. He was a former slave who had several years back massacred an entire carriage of slaves and the slave traders transporting them. Obviously not an upstanding citizen, but there was little doubt he would have any trouble apprehending a single witch. The biggest reason I chose him, though, was because he was enamored with the nun. I honestly thought it was rather hilarious, a murderer falling in love with a nun. I had been expecting the man to object, but he agreed almost without hesitation. There was a mansion on the outskirts of the city, which the previous lord had built for himself and had gone unused since his death. It was there I decided to keep the witch, and it was there I decided to establish the church. The nun would have ample space there to provide temporary shelter to the sick and needy. I thought, with what little remained of my conscience, that I was doing the right thing. If one witch, probably an old woman at that, ja, denkt er, Was all it cost to accomplish such good, then a worthy sacrifice it was. And in an ideal world, it wouldn't matter young or old, a human being was an unacceptable price for anything. But this was far from an ideal world, so I decided that taking what little remained of this woman's life was the best, no, the only acceptable course of action. She would probably despise me for it, but I would gladly accept her hatred in exchange for the benefits her blood would bring the city. It's our responsibility to offer a helping hand to the sick and the poor, to pray for the abandoned souls. Morgana's words from years back popped into my head. Ja, Junge. Opfert sie dann, das ist so crazy. I believe that, as aggressive, self-centered and utterly lacking in compassion as my methods may have been, I was following that mantra. I was offering a helping hand to people who needed it in the only way I knew how. I wasn't so dense as to think she would approve of me making an old woman pay the price for my charity, though. Doing this made me no better than a fuck. Das ist LM. But everything has a price. For every extravagant feast held, a dozen people go the night without food. That's simply the way of the world. I was no god. I was no saint. I had no blood on my hands. I had blood on my hands. I was
No blood
a villain.
Oh.
Digga, Jacopo ist so geil.
Mhm.
Also, ich sag ehrlich, wenn das jetzt so weitergeht und so, und wir sehen selbst seinen Gedanken, wenn sie erfährt, dass es halt Morgana war, der ist safe, glaube ich, mein zweiter Lieblingscharakter.
Ich habe letztens sowas gesehen, also ich habe schon weggeschaut, aber da war so beste Charakter, so überhaupt keine Ahnung, und da war so also nein, bla bla, und dann kam man das am Ende. Das war so ein Meme-Video, weißt du? Und da war halt am Anfang auch so Jacopo, Fragezeichen, nee. Also so, weißt du, dass er so krass ist, dass er da so in der Conversation ist von so geilen Characters oder so. Und ich dachte mir so, hä, er war schon cool, also als das vorkam, aber doch nicht so geil, aber das kommt halt hier in Tor 8 erst.
Ja. Oh, Digga.
Habe ich nicht erwartet.
Ja.
Ich dachte halt, diese Charakter von Tor 1 bis 3 waren schon completed.
Ja, so cool, ehrlich, wirklich. Boah, Freunde, ey, wirklich so mittendrin schon nur dabei, das Soundtrack ist so geil, Digga, der Vibe, Digga, diese Story ist einfach geil, ist einfach geil. Ja, genau, Digga. Kann man eigentlich was anderes sagen, einfach aus, das ist einfach geil.
Man könnte sagen, es ist verdammt geil.
Aber ist das geil. Ja, aber wirklich, Freunde, dafür müsst ihr wirklich mal so ein Like und ein Abo da lassen, so. Weil, ja, muss man einfach. Ich meine, muss ja, ne? Ja, keine Ahnung, Freunde. Ich würde echt sagen, Jugend, Wäsche, hab mir die Fresse und was hab ich da? Aber, for fuck's sake, ist das nice, ey.
Sorry.
Passt schon. So. Freunde, Digga, Alter. Freunde, Digga, Alter. Oh.
Also, I was a villain, embraced the role.
Ja. I knew no way to accomplish good. Without doing bad. After the swordsman departed, I took some time to myself. I filled a goblet with water, smelled it, then gave a bit of it to my pet dog before gulping down the rest of it. Are you still out there somewhere, Morgana? Yeah, good. What would you think of me, if you saw what I had become? Ja, das ist so, glaube ich, der größte Betrayal für Morgana, ne?
Ja.
So, dass einfach er es ist. Crazy. Several days later than originally planned, The swordsman finally arrived at the mansion. I had chosen the observation tower on the grounds for the witch's prison, and it was there I waited for him. He showed up with a burlap sack swung over his shoulders, setting it down on the ground and saying, "There's your witch." I could only hear muffled grunting from inside the sack, but it didn't sound like an old woman inside. The man's clothes and the bag both reeked of blood. "Tell me you didn't harm her, dog." "I smell blood." "You only instructed me not to kill her." "Mistakes were made. Limbs were lost." Mistakes? Keine Absicht, ne? "I cleaned up all the blood I got on me. No one suspected anything." "That you were able to immediately recognize it as the smell of blood says quite a bit, Lord. You have killed before, haven't you?" "Enough yapping. She is alive, yes?" "Of course." I felt a thing of guilt for the woman, but it didn't last long. Her role in my scheme and the fate that awaited her was the same, regardless of the condition she arrived in. I tossed my gaze from the man to the bag. Ich bin wirklich auf seine Reaction jetzt gespannt, wenn er es aufmacht. Wirklich, ich bin so crazy gespannt. He crouched down to untie it, revealing
Wie ist Musik in?
a young girl, yeah, with one severed arm. Oh shit, Digga. As soon as I saw her, I knew exactly who the girl was. But why? What was she doing in the bag? What was she? Why was she the lakeside witch? What was she doing here? Why was she so pale and shaking? Why had I ordered her captured? How could I have done that? How could I have let this happen to her? Morgana. Yo, der Soundtrack ist auch immer beim Speichern. My voice was hoarse and rattling. She looked up at me, her face just as disfigured and hideous as it had been 4 years before. My mind flashed back to her birthday, to when I had considered offering to take her as my lifetime partner, if her face hadn't healed in 4 years' time. "Is that you?" Her question yanked me out of my memories. You remember me? Did Morgana remember me? The 3 years we had spent together. What kind of person I had been. The boy who had refused to give up putting ointment on her face. Those horribly unromantic encounters at the graveyard. Had taken shots at me. Me taking shots at her. All that time we had shared. How could I ever forget? Morgana, she remembered me. How could I ever forget all the pain and humiliation you put me through? How could I ever forget the blood sabbats you so loved to hold? What? What was she talking about? Yo! Ach so!
Ist es so der Lord?
Ja, nee, ja. Sie hat sie hat Lord mit dem Lord jetzt verwechselt.
Ja.
Sie erkennt ihn gar nicht wieder als Jacopo.
Eben, sie verbindet so, oder sie sieht ihn jetzt halt als den Lord von damals.
Ja.
Und es ist ein Lord einfach für sie. Oh.
Crazy.
Mhm.
Und deswegen hat er dann einfach die Rolle so gespielt.
Weil wir dachten ja auch einfach, es ist ein Lord. So.
Ja.
Und dann war es wahrscheinlich auch leichter für ihn, das einfach so anzunehmen.
Ja.
Anstatt dass sie ihn so ultra verraten gefühlt hätte von ihm.
Boah, crazy, Digga. Oh, what was she talking about? Haven't had enough, have you? Leaving scars on every inch of my body wasn't enough for you? You haven't had your fill of my blood? No, that wasn't me. I was the one who tried to heal those wounds. Wounds? Ich vergesse wieder. Wounds. You're the man who bound me, cut me up, called me a witch, and then tried to kill me. I haven't forgotten you even for a moment. No, Morgana. I was the man who rescued you from him. I don't care how much my father reaches forgiveness. That's the one thing you'll never get from me. I despise you with all my soul. I revile you with every fiber of my being. For every scar you gave me, I give you a lifetime of hatred. No, Morgana! I was not aware you knew the witch, Lord. His voice made my blood run cold. I didn't just know her. Morgana was this man, the Lord. He destroyed me, mind and body. No, there was another man. He was already dead. I had just taken his place. I had come from the slums. I had been part of this slaves' revolt. I knew I had to tell her. He ruined my life, but between the sting of Morgana's accusations and my need to protect my current position, I couldn't muster the strength to do it. If someone were to find out I wasn't legitimate royalty, that I had come from the slums, then everything I had worked so hard to build up for who though, would come crumbling down. Do you really think it hasn't already? All I had left was my power, my rank. Is that what I actually wanted? I couldn't afford to lose that too. When did I first start straying from the path? Yes, I know her. Or I knew her 4 years ago. I see. What do you want to do then, Lord? You look sick. This doesn't change anything. We lock the witch up and proceed as planned. Why? Why couldn't I tell her the truth? How? How could I keep her imprisoned? What? What had I wanted power for in the first place? Would anyone ever believe me if I said this wasn't how I wanted things to turn out? Wow!
Oha.
Ja, jetzt habe ich das geschafft, ne? Yo! Would anyone ever believe me?
Oh.
Before me floats a man, twisted and writhing in pain. Although whether what I'm looking at could be said to resemble a human is a difficult question. It's a hazy, indistinct shape on the precipice of being consumed by darkness everlasting. I know very well what I'm looking at. The moments before a man's soul shatters. Did I do the same thing to him that Morgana did to me? Was it I who summoned the darkness? Who laid his past bare, also ist jetzt mich obviously, ne? Who forced him to relive those events? To experience once more everything he felt, everything he thought? Who put him through the despair a second time? I can only imagine how he must have felt. Causing someone he once cared for so much pain. The things he did are abhorrent, more than deserving of reproach. And it would undoubtedly be easier for him to simply vanish into the eternal abyss altogether. So, but I can't allow that to happen. He still has work to do. His story is essential. It's almost certain Morgana still doesn't know who he really is. He needs to face her, to reveal the truth with his own words. That's the only way we're going to get her to have a change of heart. Das könnte vielleicht noch alles verschlimmern, wenn sie bemerkt, dass er es war.
Ja.
Oder er denkt, das ist Change of Heart, aber es könnte,
Ich denke schon.
es könnte alles verschlimmern noch. Boah, Digga. Holy shit, das ist geil, Freunde. That's not all he has to say to her either. So I must bring him back. Pull him out of the darkness. I grab the man by the arm and begin scouring the blackness for an exit. After some time, I see a speck glistening high above. So I make my way upstairs, back into the harsh light of the real world. Oh, Digga, meine Augen. Flashbang.
Mhm. Oh.
We're back.
Mhm.
Ja, Freunde,
Was?
das war JACOPO'S Story,
Tail.
Tale, The Slave. Mal schauen, ob jetzt es einen neuen Namen hat, also wo wir jetzt sind gerade. Wir werden jetzt hier das Let's Play, würde ich sagen. Ne, wir sind immer noch bei The Slave. Auf jeden Fall, Freunde, würde ich sagen. Boah, fuck, war die Folge geil.
Bester Part von Part 8 sagen.
Ja,
Doch.
Part 8. Ja, ich würde sagen, es war auch einer der geilsten Parts in
Überhaupt,
ganz Morgana.
Ja.
So, das, Michels Backstory. Giselle, wie sie so immer über die Jahre. Also, Dorf 6.
Mate, ne, Morgana Backstory und Dorf 5 mit Michel und Giselle.
Ja.
Und natürlich die ganzen Twists.
Boah, Freunde.
Ich würde sagen, nimmt den Like auseinander.
Ja, nicht direkt miteinander, ich bin sprachlos, Digga. Verfuckst, war es geil. Abonniert den Kanal, aktiviert die Glocke, checkt andere Parts, Plays, Videos, Streams ab. Fuck, war das eine geile Folge. Zur 99. Folge. Letztes Mal. Nächstes Mal sehen wir dann Folge 100, Freunde. Einfach crazy. Das wird die allererste dreistellige Folge.
Mhm.
Und mal schauen, ob wir noch ein Projekt haben, was so lang gehen wird. Ich bin nicht sicher. Ja, ich habe schon was im Kopf, so wenn ich das aufnehme. So kleiner Hin, Freunde. So fängt mit P an und dann mit Persona. Weil das Game geht so 100 Stunden anscheinend.
Das ist ein krasser Hint, aber okay.
Ja, ne Joke. Ja, Persona 5 halt. Vielleicht, weil das geht so 100 Stunden anscheinend, das ist auch geil. Und ist auch mal so entspannt, einfach so Turn-Based Combat ist es so wie, ist so wie South Park vom Combat.
Lass mal unsere
Playtime?
Zeit schauen von...
Ja, oh,
Morgana.
boah, Digga, ich muss sowieso jetzt.
Piss nicht auf.
Ja, voll. Boah, fuck, Digga, war das geil. Ah! Digga. Wir schauen und
Reingehauen.
ciao.